The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis, and this is Pro Football Sweden. Welcome to season two, talking football in Sweden. Feel free to comment and send messages about how we're doing. We appreciate all the feedback we've had so far. Today, it might just be me. I'm not sure if Juice is going to record his side of this or not. I know we had a scheduling conflict, but I'm just going to act like it's just me today. And I'm going to try to give you about, 20, 30 minutes of, talk Sweden football. We're still looking for sponsors, donations, and staff to help with the podcast stuff. Got a couple weeks left, but we'll take any help that we can get. Please send all inquiries to profootballsweden@gmail.com or hit the DMs on Instagram. The PFS podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast, and you can catch us visually here on YouTube. Wherever you listen to watch, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Now, let's get into some football. All right, it's first quarter. Let's talk energy. Positives and negative from the weekend. I think I'm gonna start with the negatives. First thing that was negative. First game I saw was who was it? K Town Predators. Here's the negative: them ugly ass gray jerseys, and they lost. I wonder why they lost. Probably because they was wearing those ugly gray jerseys. Look bad, play bad, take L's. I've said this before. The orange joints, them things are fire. The blue ones, not my cup of tea, but it goes. Them gray things, just hideous. And so that was a negative for me. As soon as I saw those jerseys, I was like, oh, they gonna lose this game. Like you can't win in that type of environment where the jersey don't look good. Second thing that I have as a negative from this weekend is also the video quality from some of these games, and including the K Town Predators game. I know Oslo is the team that actually recorded the game, but I wrote here on my notes in bold letters, can't see shit because the camera is on O lineman butts. Basically, I think the Oslo camera crew was trying to figure out how they wanted to zoom in and zoom out. But what happened is at the beginning of every play, they zoom in on the interior lineman, the center and the guard, and one defensive lineman, and there be motion, and I can't see what's happening at all outside of these three people on the screen. And then they zoom out, and the play is like already going. So I don't know if they think that's exciting of us seeing the big guys and then just all of a sudden a play happening. But me personally, I'm okay. I understand. Maybe I just want to see the box. I can understand seeing from tackle to tackle, seeing the linemen and the linebackers. Maybe I don't get to see the cornerbacks or whatever. I understand that. That could be a little, you get a better angle. It looks more, exciting to people that don't know the sport. But when you zoom into just those interior linemen, I mean, you might as well be playing a commercial because I can't see anything. And then it doesn't help me once you zoom out and I have to find the ball. There was a couple of times where the ball goes somewhere and the camera doesn't go. It doesn't know where the ball went. And then when you get to it, I missed the whole play. I don't even think they did replay, which made it even harder because it's like I can't follow the game. So that was a negative for me because it was super distracting because I couldn't pay attention to the game because my eyes couldn't catch where to go. And I ended up having to like rewind a lot to try to figure out what the hell happened because they kept zooming in and out from these weird angles. And I know whoever is recording probably they aren't even like football people or something like that. And they're just trying to, find their way. And I thought like, okay, as the game goes on, they'll figure it out, but they didn't, and that just made it tough for me to see. And that's my pet peeve. It's my negative. Maybe other people didn't mind it or thought it was creative. I don't know, but for me, it sucked and made it hard to watch this game, which I didn't even watch the whole game. Let me look at my notes. Uh, I didn't know the score because it wasn't on the screen, which is crazy because it's supposed to be the Super Serien. But in the fourth quarter, I knew that Oslo was up by a couple scores and the game was getting boring. I was tired of getting a little bit of a headache, so I just turned it off. But again, that's my negative is that the filming from that game, as well as the film from the AIK game, was just as bad. The AIK game, a little bit worse because they didn't have the two angles. So it was all from like 80 like meters away. Like you could not see what was going on. I couldn't tell any numbers. And I mean, it looked like someone had their iPhone, they were recording, and that's what I was watching. Again, cool. If that's what you got, that's what you got. But for me, trying to, watch the game and observe, I wasn't able to really see what was going on. I couldn't tell any numbers from either team. Only thing I could tell was that those AIK socks were dope, and I love that. But outside of that, I couldn't tell who was what number on their team. I couldn't tell who was what number on Orabro's team. What There was a couple of like really good passes caught in the corner of the far corner end zone, and I was like, man, that's an awesome play. Too bad I didn't get to see it. I have no idea who caught it. I didn't get to see him like bring the ball in. I mean, obviously there wasn't like a zoom situation. They tried to zoom a couple of times and I think it didn't work. So they just stopped, which I'm fine with. But that level of quality is just, I mean, it makes things more difficult than it needs to be considering, it's 2025 and this is supposed to be the top league in Sweden. We got 9 teams playing now and I can't get decent game footage. I can understand like if this was like film, end zone angle, I really just want to see bodies and where they're going, and that's great. But from a viewing standpoint, it'd be nice. It's already the jerseys don't have last names a lot of times, so it'd be nice to at least know what number some of these players are. So both of those games just did not have great video for me to understand what was going on in the game. I tried to take notes anyways, and I mean, at some point it was just I don't know who's scoring, I don't know who's running. It looks like a running back is doing well, a receiver. I don't know who these people are. Luckily, I know kind of who some of the players are beforehand. Hopefully, they're still wearing the same numbers, or maybe that's his body type. I don't know him well enough to like give you a good feedback on it, and that's just from the film itself. So that's my negatives because man, it just I, the football itself wasn't great this weekend. So bad film plus bad football just made it that much more difficult to focus in and watch these games. And that's just not how I wanted to spend my weekend. Again, 4 games a weekend. That's what I'm doing to make sure that we have this podcast and have something to talk about. And then if I have games where I can't really see what's going on, it's just giving me myself a headache for no reason on the weekend when everyone else is relaxing and having a good time out here. So that's my negatives. I'm gonna try to go to the positives. Positives from this weekend, uh, blowouts, a lot of blowouts. So didn't have to spend that much time watching the games. You know, Griffins, Karlstad Crusaders, 21-0 in the second quarter. Turn that thing off. Stockholm and Tiraso, 33-6 at half. Turn that thing off. AIK and Orebro, 33-10 in the third quarter. Turn that thing off before the fourth quarter. And I think the Oslo Predators one is the only one where I had to watch pretty much 4 quarters. And I probably could have turned it off before, but I literally had no idea what the score was because there was no like score being kept on the screen. And then there's no stats for any of the games. So I couldn't even like look at stats and be like, oh, at this quarter, it should be this. Because I usually watch the games after the game's been played. But still, I mean, 3 out of 4 ain't bad that I didn't have to watch a full 4 quarters. So for me, that's a positive. And we're still doing first quarter energy. And again, I'm trying to make this go a little bit longer because it's just me. So what I will talk about is the I guess the drama going on. And I don't claim to be any type of expert, but I got the gist of it. Apparently, Tiraso won 2 games with an illegal amount of imports on the field that, according to the rules, they should not have won. They should have forfeited. But somehow Sweet 3 decided that they would just pay a fine for those 2 games that they should have forfeited. And with that, they just pay a little fine. And I saw and translated a little bit of the Swedish on the Facebook post, and then seeing what some other people put online, and I, I think it's funny. I think it's interesting. It shows that one, the federation doesn't have a hard stance on certain like rules. I think also it shows, I guess, how good Tiraso is. Because I've been saying all season they're the most talented team, but it takes a whole nother level of talent to be able to break the rules with basically no consequences, especially a rule like that where everyone kind of knows that you're supposed to lose the game. And if they had lost those two games, it would throw the playoff picture into craziness, obviously. But they didn't lose it. I think that's one. I think that could be a reason why Sweet Three did it the way they did. Is like them taking those two losses would kind of throw the whole like playoff system into, okay, this don't even make sense anymore. So they were like, okay, we'll just let you have a fine. And I don't know how much the fine was. Hopefully it's a lot, but I don't think it really was going to deter Tiraso from doing what they had to do. Also, don't know anything about the situation. I don't know if they did it on purpose or if they knew that they were breaking the rules. I assume out of the goodness of their heart that they didn't understand the rules somewhere and maybe it was an accident or they had some substitution issues or personnel issues that they just didn't work out and they didn't notice. Because, I mean, you only have so much time between things happening. Sometimes people get on the field and you don't know they're on the field until the play is over. And you're like, oh, I just hope they don't say anything. And obviously, you're not going to tell on yourself. So maybe that's what it was. But I do believe that it's divine intervention that they, got caught technically breaking the rules and weren't properly punished because they're tier so. The Royal Crowns can do what the Royal Crowns want to do. And that's pretty much what it was. So I'll let it go at that. I won't just keep harping on it. All right, second quarter top performers presented by Ballers International. Let's name a couple guys that stood out from last week's games. I'll go down my list. I pretty much have a list of guys here. And obviously, I would love to look up their stats and be like, oh, he did this, this, and this statistically. But, I'm recording on Mondays. The games are played on Saturdays. I record on Mondays. Stats are almost never up. I think last week the stats were up. And I didn't look at them anyways. I was busy. But this week I actually had enough time to look up the stats. And I looked at all the games and none of them were up. So it is what it is. First guy that stood out to me, running back from Karlstad, number 24, Tim Schultz. I think he's a German guy. I didn't put a lot of guys from the Karlstad game because it was kind of like, okay, we're just going to run through this. And obviously, quarterback and receivers played well. But I just really like number 24's like position on the team. Like they run the offense through him. He sets the tone, gets them the early yardage so they're ahead of the sticks. And then he makes a couple of big plays every now and again that really makes you focus on, okay, we have to stop the run first, which makes everything else easier. So shout out to Tim Schultz doing this thing. Probably gonna be running back of the year. I think. I'm trying to think of who else could beat him. I think he might be the running back of the year this year. Which brings me to the other running back that stood out to me this week, and that's Casper Wedberg from Stockholm Mean Machine. I don't think he's played in all the games this year, and he hasn't had the same season as he had last year, obviously, statistically. And even in this game, I don't know if his stats were great, but I do know that when number 30 came in the game, there was a difference in the way that he was running. And the guy that was in before number 47 did a really good job as well. But when Casper came in, like you could see, like, okay, that sense of urgency from him. And then the game got away from them. And obviously, when the game gets away from you, a running back is not really where you're going with the ball. But I think Casper Weber played a really great game. Now, let me go to, you know what? Let me just keep talking about running backs because that's what I felt. That's what I felt this week. I felt like there were some good running backs. Next guy, Double V from Tiraso. I don't remember what I wrote in my notes. Let me see. Did I write? I just wrote his name down. Dang. I think I was going to go off his stats. I know he had a couple big plays, and he ran easily through the defense. I really wish I had his stats. I feel like he had a very high average. every time he got the ball, he was ripping off 8 to 9 yards. It was never like get a little here and then along. It was always like boom, boom, boom. And that a lot to say about Stockholm's defense because they just couldn't stop anything. Another guy that's on my list, Kevin Borsay from Tiraso, wearing number 2 jersey. Okay, this I don't have to look at my notes. Kevin Borsay is a man amongst boys. He was making Stockholm secondary look like little kids out there. Anytime he wanted to go deep, he was 2 or 3 yards behind the defender. He probably dropped 3 touchdowns. I've seen him drop a couple passes and he's every time, yet he was still open the entire game. He had one of those I would say like Chad Ochocinco moments. He was like, I could be in a phone booth and I'm open because he was open the whole game. He was always open. They could throw it to him whenever they wanted to. I think he caught a couple passes, but he didn't catch as many as he could have. And it still really didn't matter. It wasn't going to hurt the team. But it just looked like they couldn't handle him. It looked like he was playing a varsity player playing in a JV game. It looked like he should not have been on the field with those kids. And that's what I got from Kevin Borsay in this game. And kind of what the feeling I've been getting from all season is that he might be a little too good to be in the Super Serien. They might want to take him somewhere else. I don't know where, but he just looked too good. And this week, he just looked great against a bad secondary, but still, like, they all from the same place. So I assume that, they had the same opportunity to be good like he did. And somehow he ends up much better than everyone that guards him. Next guy I got another Tiraso player, number 44, the D lineman or edge rush guy, Caesar Winsness. I'm going to call you Caesar Wins because all he does is win, and that's at the point of attack. I think he had 1 or 2 sacks in this game. I know he for sure had 1 sack, but he put up a lot of pressure. Seen him really affecting the offensive line in the game. So just wanted to give a shout out to him for that. Who else is on my list? Oh, I forgot to stick with my running backs. I'll go back to my last running back at the end. Next guy, AIK's quarterback, Max Lambert. I know the game didn't go how AIK wanted it, but for a while, it looked like they were in it, and he was the reason. He was being very savvy with the ball, getting it to the right people, moving around, and keeping them within striking distance. And I just wanted to give him a shout out because I feel like he played really well in this game. Another guy from AIK, Josh Hicks, had the big touchdown. That touchdown he scored, that's one of the reasons I said they were still in the game. If he hadn't scored that touchdown, it was going to be a rout early. I think I had to watch it, until the third quarter. But if he hadn't scored a touchdown, I wouldn't have had to watch it till halftime. Or maybe it was at halftime that was like that. I don't remember. But I know that when he scored that, I was like, okay, they can still, hang in this game, make something happen later, maybe even pull it out. So big shout out to Josh Hicks and Max Lambert for making it somewhat competitive in a game that you really shouldn't have been in the first place. Next guy, let's go to Orbru, running back, number 34, Jacob Brezina. Is it Serbian? Is he Serbian? Or so should it be Jakob? Yeah, I'm calling him Jakob. Jakob did his thing as normal, made a lot of plays. I think he even was catching passes in this game. They kind of ran the offense through him at the running back position. He did a really good job. I think he scored a touchdown or 2. I can't remember. I don't have obviously I don't have stats. So all I can do is go off of my memory of how well I think he was doing. And I thought he was doing really well in this game. Another guy from Orebro that did well was Thick Vic. He's easily becoming one of my favorite Swedish quarterbacks of all time. What I like that he did in this game was it's still one of his most underrated skill sets is that he is a mobile quarterback and he's able to run, move the chains with his feet in times where there's nobody open and the receivers weren't open. Blocking was okay, and there was a lot of field in front of him. He takes off. Most big quarterbacks can't do that. And Thick Vic, he's as thick as they get, baby, but he can still take off if he needs to. And he did that a couple times in this game, helped them kind of transition from, this part of the field to that part of the field. Every once in a while, they ran into a little bit of a wall. AIK's defense was solid, just talent-wise, just couldn't match up. And that's where it was. Like, the quarterback, at sometimes they didn't account for him. And that's the thing that really sets him apart as a quarterback is you have to account for him. And he didn't, and he made him pay when he needed to. And I really like that about his game. And in this game, he showed it well. And so, shout out to him. Who else I got on this? Let's go Oslo Vikings. Quarterback DeAndre Clayton. Oh, first of all, congratulations, Vikings, on the win. When I first saw that they won the game, I was like, that can't be right. That can't be right. And then I watched the game, and like I said earlier, the ugly jerseys for the Predators probably had a lot to do with it. But at the same time, the Vikings came to play, and they gave them a really good fight. And then offensively, what the quarterback did as a runner really set them apart for me because I think he made them realize they had to pay attention to him. And once they did that, he was able to actually find more receivers. And then the other guy I have on my top performers list is the running back, Will Sal from the Oslo Vikings. And also defensive end or linebacker, whatever you want to call. I think he's more effective as defensive end, obviously. And even in this game, whenever he went to DN and rushed, he immediately made a play or some type of impact on the offense from the Predators. And then on the offensive side, he basically was the guy running back. And he didn't have any problems running through and around the Predators defense, which is crazy because I think I was giving them credit last week for being a pretty good defense, and he made them look like they just couldn't handle him. So shout out to those guys for having great performances and Oslo for getting the upset win that honestly I thought the Predators were going to win that game before I saw the jerseys. Once I saw those great jerseys and I saw that, Oslo had the reds on, and they have the white arm sleeves that say Oslo on them, I was like, yeah, that red team. It's like a candy red too. And, candy apple red, that's nice. So I knew they were going to win because of that. Last guy that I'm going to throw a shout out to for top performer is number 82 from the K-Town Predators, Juwan Abraham, which I think he's a French player. First of all, didn't know what number he was. I wrote down 88 at first because I couldn't see what his jersey number was with the gray on gray and then the scrunch numbers. But what he did in what quarter was it? First of all, the reason that KP lost the game is that they just kept throwing it deep. They did not care about any type of short or mid passes. They were all bombs away. And Juwan Abraham, they go bombs away to this dude. He catches it. It's like 60, 70 yards. I don't know how far, but it was a very long pass and catch and touchdown. He scores. They bring it back because the Predators are the Predators. Obviously, there's a penalty, which is something they've had an issue with all season. They're just not disciplined up front on the offensive line, and it is what it is. But anyways, they bring it back, and literally the next play, they just do the same thing. Instead of a post over the middle, it's a fade on the outside. They throw it back to Juwan. He catches it, scores another touchdown. And I was like, I wish I had a controller. I want to throw it because this is ridiculous. You shouldn't be able to do this. Again, a man amongst boys because, first of all, no respect to the defense that they're going to do the same. They're going to go deep once again after a penalty. Secondly, the fact that they go to the same guy who just ran 70, 80 yards, which means he should be slightly tired or not as fast as he was, yet he still outruns your cornerback. That's just crazy, insane. So shout out to Abraham for, making me find out what number he was. And I got like this close to the screen so I could see exactly what number he was. Like 88, 82. And he was kicking the ball afterwards. So that helped me know what number he was because the number looked a little different when he was kicking for some reason. So, yeah, shout out to those guys. Those are my top performers. Hey, third quarter. Just want to talk about the playoff picture and how things look right now. It hasn't really changed since last week. It's the exact same order. Orebro Black Knights in first, Karlstad Crusaders in second, Tirso Royal Crowns in third, K-Town Prayers in fourth, AIK in fifth, Stockholm Mean Machines in sixth, Limham Griffins in seventh, Oslo Vikings in eighth, and Copenhagen Towers in last place. Now, what's going to be interesting is OBK and Karlstad are both 6-1, and they play each other in Orebrew. Now, Orebrew beat the brakes off of Karlstad last time. And I don't know for sure. And someone just, reply on, or comment somewhere. I don't know exactly how the standings go here in the Super Serien, but I'm just going to assume that it's a points thing because obviously it's head to head. But hypothetically, if Karlstad wins the game, they need to beat Orebrew by a certain amount of points to have like the tiebreaker. Or no, it doesn't matter because they're both 6-1. So the loser will be 6-2. The winner will be 7-1. Oh yeah. So you win and you get the 1 seed, or you win and you might get the 1 seed because Tyresö is also 6-1 and they play Stockholm, who they just stomped, and now they play them at home. So in theory, Tyresö is going to go 7-1. Either Orebrew or Karlstad is going to go 7-1, and I don't know what decides who's going to be the winner in that one. I guess if Orebrew wins, who did they lose to? They lost to Tyresö, right? So if Orebrew goes 7-1, Tyresö gets first place because they beat them. If Karlstad goes 7-1, Tyresö goes to second place. Yeah, because I think Orebrew beat Karlstad. Karlstad beat Tyresö. Tyresö beat Orebrew. Okay, so that's how it goes. If Orebrew wins, even at 7-1, they can probably come in second place. Because if Tyresö wins at 7-1, they get first place. If Karlstad wins, they for sure get first place. So it doesn't matter. Like if they win, they definitely will have all the tiebreakers and get first place. While Tyresö, if they win, it depends on who wins the other game. So we won't know. And I don't know if it's like head to head points or total points or how that goes. So 1 through 3, we don't know. We'll figure it out. But it'll be these 3 teams for sure. We just don't know where everybody's going to land. And then the 4th place team, it's out of K-Town, AIK, and Stockholm. And they're all 3 and 4. But let's just be realistic. Stockholm, they have to win and the other 2 teams have to lose because they lost to both of those teams. So Stockholm is pretty much out at this point, and I don't think they're going to beat Tyresö anyways. Now, K-Town has the Towers, who have not won a game all year, and I feel like they should win this game if they wear the right jerseys. Either go orange or go blue. Don't go gray, and you can win this game. And if they do that, they'd be 4-4. And AIK has the Vikings, which I'm not 100% sure they're going to win that game. But if they did win it, they go 4-4, and they would be the losers to the Predators. Or did they play the Predators? I don't know. I don't remember who won in the game when they played them. Let me try to look this up. Let me see. I'm looking up the teams right now. But I think when AIK played they don't play the Predators. They never played them. Is that possible? Yeah, I guess so. So, but somehow K-Town is ahead of them in the standings. So I don't know, again, if it's by points thing, both of those teams should try to score as many points as they can this weekend. It might be a little bit easier for K-Town because the Towers defense is not as good as the Vikings defense. And I think they have a little bit better matchup. But you never know. You just never know. So that's how the playoff picture looks. We're going to go into midsummer break here. But after midsummer break, we got 1 week where all the spots are still up for grabs. 1 through 3, where everybody's going to land is still up for grabs. 4th place is still up for grabs. So we know nothing with 1 week left going into the playoffs. Welcome to the 4th quarter. Normally in the 4th quarter, we do weekend picks, but there's no weekend picks for the midsummer holiday. So hopefully everybody enjoys the off week. But we'll be back next week, or I'll at least be back next week. That way we don't do the preview on this show and we have something to do over the weekend. So when you come back from midsummer break, look out for us here on YouTube and Spotify because we'll be talking again. But I did want to do kind of like a Scandinavian pick, if it makes sense. There is one elf team, the Nordic Storm out there in Denmark. They're playing against the Warsaw Panthers this weekend. Nordic Storm is 4-0. Panthers are 2-2. So for my pick, I'm going to go Nordic Storm because they're undefeated. I honestly don't follow the elf like that. Like I've watched a couple of highlights or whatever, but I 100% believe that any team that has Jadrian Clark on it has a chance to win. So that has been proven 4 times this season, and I think that it'll be a 5th time against the Panthers. So my pick would be the Nordic Storm. And if I go in the shape when we do the show of why, because they have the man at quarterback. That's why they're going to win the game. Nothing else is needed. All right, that's it for this episode of Pro Football Sweden. Overtime, if I missed anything, I had these notes. I don't think I have anything I wanted to add per se. I mean, I had notes on like all the games or whatever, but y'all don't need to hear all of that. Just know that going into the playoffs, I think this whole situation of having different divisions has been interesting, very interesting, because we've seen some things happen, and I think it's made it a little more exciting, despite there being technically some bottom dweller. Like there's a clear divide between the top teams and the bottom teams, but it's just one of those things where at least the bottom teams have something to play for, and pretty much they're playing for like 5th place. But this is still better than what happened last year, where you could win 1 or 2 games and make playoffs. I like that. At least you got to win 4 games. You got to at least get 50% of the games to win to make playoffs this season, and that just shows that the caliber of teams is getting a little bit better on the top end. I think we're still missing, a 4 and 5 seed that we can depend on here. But K Town, AIK, Stockholm sliding has made it interesting. So I'm excited to see what's happening. Good luck to not to the teams in the Super Serien, but good luck to Nordic Storm this weekend. And everybody, I hope you have a great midsummer, and we'll be back next week with more insights on the preview for the last week of the season. Make sure you follow, like, and subscribe on all social channels at Pro Football Sweden. And we'll see you next week. Peace.